and I think I'm done with this interview.
Wait, well, let me just show you the contract, if I could, Mr. Roberts. Wait, it says here, right in the contract, that the verification is supposed to be done by DBT, that you paid them $4 million. Don't you, it could look to other people that you paid $4 million to purchase this election for the Republican Party. Mr. Roberts?
He is an honest, equitable, hard-working man, and that's why we've supported him unequivocally. And I think he's doing a fabulous job.
It's, of course, common to say George W. Bush is, dumber than a box of rocks. But that misses the point about who George W. is. Yes, he doesn't have the brain muscle to do any heavy lifting, that's clear. But at the same time, that's not his purpose.
Iraq is free.
George W. Bush, war hero, master politician, entrepreneur, implacable commander-in-chief of the War on Terror, president in a family of presidents. For BBC Television and the Guardian papers of Britain, I've been tracking the Bush family for years.
In politics, power, turning a profit. These are masters of the game. What drives these men? And where are they driving us?
We will confront weapons of mass destruction.
Never call a Bushman weak.
Weakness and ambivalence lead to war.
Victory in Iraq completes the president's image as Top Gun warrior, cemented in the public's mind by the drama of his landing on the deck of the aircraft carrier Abraham Lincoln. The president makes much of his days as a fighter pilot during the war in Vietnam.
you see him landing the jet on the Abe Lincoln?
I thought that was one of the neatest things I had ever seen. And watching all of the soldiers on that deck with their commander-in-chief and then having him wade in and having just seeing that interaction, I just thought that was fabulous.
Fabulous to the Yale man, but not to some Texans.
It was a cheap political stunt. It was not his airplane, it was the taxpayers' airplane. They had to get the aircraft carrier to turn around so that they would get the proper view that they wanted for the cameras of Bush landing and standing before the brave troops who had indeed put their lives at risk.
Here's this politician who didn't have the guts to go do it himself, go out and put on our uniform, go out on our aircraft carrier and grandstand as if he's some type of hero.
Vietnam, 1968. Young Americans by the thousands are drafted. And while they had tough days in the jungle, some kids at Yale were having a tough day on the golf links.
A long time ago. That's the president. It's me. Haven't changed a bit. And that's Robert Dieter. Wow. All very accomplished golfers, as you can see.
And how come you don't wear a hat?
I don't know. I just don't wear a hat. I want to look different, you know.
I'm always amazed at what I see on the television. That persona and the public one and the scripted one, as opposed to the one that we knew in college and know now, where he's a very down-to-earth, relaxed, witty, funny guy.
So did you talk with your roommate about the war in Vietnam being drafted?
I think so, yeah, as I remember it. The military choice was something that all of us at that point were going to have to face in one way or another.
Mm-hmm. Did you sign up, or did your number come up in the lottery for the draft?
No, I was just planning to enlist because at that time it was just inevitable that you were going to get drafted.
But the draft wasn't inevitable for the son of Congressman George Bush Sr.
Hey, this is Bob Reddy with your National Guard Hope. And I want to tell you that the story of today's Army and Air National Guard is something all Americans.
What Bob Hope doesn't mention is that getting into the Guard is a way of getting out of Vietnam. With just 12 days to go before he became subject to the draft, George Bush applies for the Air Guard. Problem for George was there are 100,000 would-be draft dodgers lined up ahead of him.
For George W. Bush to get into the Texas Air Guard, safest unit in the military, he had to take a test. And he scored out of a possible 100, 25. Just 1 point above too dumb to fly. But that didn't stop young George from getting that plum position in the cockpit.
To find out how low-score George got the Top Gun job, I spoke with fighter pilot Bill White.
So, Bill, this is the plane you actually flew?
Yes.
And you flew one of these onto one of those?
No one, to my knowledge, has ever gone into the Air National Guard as a non-pilot and gotten pilot training in the Guard. That's completely unprecedented. Never happened in the history of the Guard. Every pilot that ever has served in the National Guard legitimately paid their dues, spent 3.5 years to 5 years flying on active duty. And only then were they a candidate for admission to the National Guard as a pilot.
Privilege has a price, paid by others.
We were sent there to defend our liberties. And to find out that the politicians who sent myself and the other young men to put our lives into harm's way were working a personal, selfish agenda instead of a national agenda is anathema to everything that we fought for and stood for. It hurts me to this day to think that we would be manipulated or that they would abuse their authority. That they'd stand on television or on the flight deck of an aircraft carrier in a flight suit and be called a leader. Leadership entails responsibility. That's the whole connotation of leadership. It's service. It's giving of yourself. And that's what's killing me about this is I see that the whole system has been turned on end. We have the weak leading the strong.
So how did young George Bush get the job of defending Houston from Viet Cong attack, despite a score of 25 out of 100? The answer dropped onto my desk in Washington.